I built a marketing agency with a friend of mine, and we were making like 1K or 2K per month, and we were scaling the agency. I mean, and think about it. I mean, we started from completely zero with no experience at all, and after 6 months of completely no experience, we were making what here in Argentina is a minimum salary of someone that studied. Okay, but on the other hand, we were overwhelmed every single day. We didn't have systems, and we had the agency plenty of bottlenecks that we didn't know how to solve because we didn't have experience. But at the same time, I also built an agency. I also built a system for social media business where the owners were booking manually. So every service request, every price change, every calendar update was on their shoulders, and they weren't able to take a single vacation. So literally the business existed because they were there every single day. And the reason I'm telling you this and that I am explaining you this is because I lived it from both sides, okay? And in this video, I'm going to explain you how to get your time back and how to, if you want, scale your agency. And by the way, I only talk about lived experiences. So all the things that I'm going to explain you here are the things that I did and I do. The typical problem that you have when you are running an agency is that your business is working, but you are stuck. I mean, you have clients, money comes in, but the way you operate has a ceiling. And you already know that you have a ceiling because every time a lead arrives, you hand it manually. Every follow up, you repeat the same tasks every day. And you use 3 different tools that don't talk to each other, okay? A lot of marketing agencies spend $500 a month or even more, maybe 1K a month on software as a service tools that are not connected. So they waste a lot of time jumping from one tool to another. And if you're going through this, I'm not judging you because I went through the exact same thing. If you stop, everything stops. And that's the moment you realize that you don't have a business, you only have a stressful job. Because the real problem isn't that you work too much or you are, I don't know, lazy. The real problem is that your operations run on you instead of on a system. So we are going to talk how we can solve this, okay? I will give you the exact process. I would recommend you to stay until the end because that's the only way that you will be able to apply this. But first of all, you need to avoid falling in these 2 traps that I'm going to show you, okay? These are the 2 moves that seem logical, but makes everything worse. The first trap is hiring before systematizing. If you hire people before having systems, you only expand chaos, okay? And this has a specific reason. When you don't have clear processes and you hire people, you waste a lot of time and money because you need to train that person, and now you're wasting the time that you could be investing in improving the product or improving your sales process or closing more people. I mean, having more conversations. The second trap is investing in 500 different tools, okay? And this is most common that it seems. You are spending money on a project management tool, then you connect it with a Zapier, then you add a scheduling tool, and then a CRM that doesn't sync well with the scheduling, so you add another layer. More tools are not the answer for the problem. This only brings more complexity and it makes the problem more difficult to solve because now have to change the processes that are already attached to those tools. I'm going to give you the 3 systems, the 3 processes that you need for your agency. The first one is the lead flow, okay? A well-built lead flow systems does 4 things automatically, okay? This is the exact system that we had on the agency. First of all, it immediately acknowledges the lead, okay? Then it qualifies them before you speak with them because otherwise you spend time with people that don't have the money to pay you and things like that, and it's a complete waste of time. Also, it schedules the call without back and forth messages, and then it follows up automatically if they don't schedule, okay? If they are qualified but they didn't go through the next step, okay, which is scheduling the call. When you have that process, instead of checking DMs 10 times a day to see if someone arrived, you check them once, okay? It's much simpler. Everything else runs on its own, and your response time goes from hours to minutes, and that's the difference between closing a lead or not, okay? The response time. Secondly, the client onboarding. And this is one of the most important parts because here is the client's experience, okay, where the person will start judging your service. So every time you sign a new client and start from scratch, sending the same welcome messages, requesting the same information, and explaining the same process, you're, being a hidden tax on your own growth, because that's something that could be done automatically. And a well-built onboarding system has three parts. Okay, first of all, an intake form that collects everything you need in advance, a welcome sequence that positions the relationship correctly from the day one, and a kickoff structure that is the same every time, the same agenda, the same questions, and the same outcome. By the way, you will be only be able to do this if you are attached to a specific audience, because if you are targeting like 10 different people, it's almost impossible to bring always the same process and the same result. Third and finally, the client delivery. Okay, here's the crucial process because you need to think deeply about this. When the relationship with the client ends, this will be the difference between getting referrals or not. Okay, if you delivered the service as it needs to be, you will probably get referrals. Okay, this is the process that most people ignore until a client complains, and by that point it's already late. Okay, it's already a problem. So instead of reacting to the client's anxiety, you prevent it. How do you do it? First of all, with a weekly update format, with a shared tracking space. Okay, can be a CRM that you use or whatever, and a clear escalation path. Okay, something that you establish from the beginning. What happens if someone or something goes wrong? How to contact? What the response time is. This is mainly to avoid having to answer the same questions every single day. The best client relationships I have seen aren't necessarily, the ones with just more communications. They are the ones with more predictable communications, okay, where the client knows that it will happen, I don't know, X, Y, and Z on the next couple of days. Now, if you jump right to the computer, or you're already on the computer and you start building a tool, it will be a complete mess. Okay, you need clear steps to do this. So first of all, you start by mapping before you build. Okay, you can have problems on three different processes. Okay, the lead flow, the onboarding, and the delivery. So for the lead flow, you ask yourself, what happens from the moment someone arrives until they become a client? Okay, write it down, every single question. What happens between the contract and starting the first session, okay, for the onboarding? And for the delivery, how does the client currently finds out what's happening with his project or the results that he's getting? It's not that, it's not something complicated. On phase two, you simplify before you automate. Okay, look at your process, okay, the what you already mapped, and ask yourself which steps can be removed entirely, which steps exist only because you have never questioned them, and then you build the system. Okay, it's not something very complicated. Finally, on phase four, you test with your clients. Now you do this little by little, okay, step by step, because if you are using, I don't know, something like a CRM, and you move everything from one place to another, it can be a complete mess. So you do it little by little, as if you were creating an MVP, okay, something like that. Now you are probably thinking, how do I build the system, or where do I start? So I will explain you how to prioritize. Okay, so ask yourself, where am I losing the money? Okay, the most amount of money right now, and it's typically in one of the process that I already explained you: the lead flow, the follow-ups, flow responses. Okay, where I'm spending the most manual time that could be systematized, and it's usually onboarding. Okay, where you need to assign tasks to your team or things like that. And then finally, where are client relationships most damaged? Because that prevents you from having referrals. And it's usually delivery, okay, or communication. From my personal experience, fixing the lead flow recovers the most amount of money, okay? 15 to 25% that you didn't know that you have, that was already coming in, but being lost on tools, being lost on time. Now, the reason that I'm giving you all this process and all these things is because when you remove yourself from the critical path, when you replace manual execution with a system, the constraint changes. Now the business can process more leads, onboard more clients, and deliver more work without requiring proportionally more of your time. So you can either scale your business or you can have more free time for whatever you want to do with your life. This is literally the difference between having a job and a business. A job requires your presence, and a business has systems that run without you. I don't mean that you won't work a single hour per day, but you will be the person that gives a future to your company, to the company, not the one that is executing. Now you have two options. I mean, you can go by yourself and fail 1,000 times. That I already, I already went through that. Or you can send me a DM on Instagram or book a call with me. If you want help opening your bottleneck and discovering exactly which system to build first or how to get back your time, you only need to schedule a call. I will leave you the link in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching and staying until the end. It would help me a lot if you subscribe to the channel and you hit the like button, because in that way we can keep reaching new people and it only takes 2 seconds. Thank you once again, and I hope to see you in the next video.